PNG AIC raises concerns on the use of drones in restricted zones. 2 people arrested after drones disrupt flights. And Philippines keen to buy PNG rice.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Saturday's news. Modern technology that gives viewers the bird's eye view from high in the sky has become a safety risk for the other big birds in the sky, aeroplanes. PNG Accident Investigation Commission has requested Civil Aviation Safety Authority and National Airports Corporation to seek the assistance of police to investigate a UAV drone being flown in residential areas near the airport high enough to cause a serious accident. PNG AIC Chief Commissioner Hubert Namani, in a letter to CASA and NAC, questioned whether the authorities had made any public awareness or given warning notice to residents living near the Jackson's airport.
PNG AIC Chief Commissioner Mr. Namani said he had received a report of at least 1 UAV drone very recently being operated from a house or houses within the Kennedy Estate, 8 Mile. The UAV was observed to be operating above a light post height to an undetermined height. The Kennedy Estate is less than 2 kilometers from the Jackson's airport and in the way of the 14L runway. In the letters to CASA and NAC, PNG AIC Chief Commissioner requested that both authorities investigate the issue and also put up warning notices within and up to 4 miles around Jackson's airport. PNG AIC also requested the authority respond to the letters with the appropriate actions that was taken. The issue of drones causing a safety risk is a global issue. BBC recently reported Gatwick Airport in the UK had to suspend flights, causing delays to hundreds of flights due to a drone being flown near the approach runway. Now, the question of how to regulate drone owners and where they can and cannot fly would be the next step responsible authorities need to look at before the worst happens, setting a precedent in aviation history. Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, 2 people have been arrested after massive disruptions to travellers at Gatwick Airport. They have been charged with the criminal use of drones. Many passengers are still stranded and they are asking questions about compensation.
There's little that compensates such a miserable start to your holiday, especially when the battle for compensation may not be entirely straightforward. The unprecedented events leaving passengers tired, confused and often angry. For a 3rd day running, Virginia Goncalves has had to take morphine in the airport for stage 4 breast cancer. Yet her airline hasn't provided her with a hotel because of what they say is the scale of disruption. And too weak to find one herself, she'll be sleeping on this seat until Sunday, when she can finally fly to Oslo. The airline will not give you a hotel?
No, very disappointed, because probably it's the last time I see my family. It's not so bad going through cancer and then this happens. And I will still sleeping at the airport until Sunday. What can I do? Nobody cares.
After 36 hours of Christmas chaos at Gatwick Airport, around 250,000 passengers have been affected and over 1,000 flights cancelled. But as the incident is viewed as an extraordinary circumstance, airlines are not obliged to pay financial compensation. But they do still have a duty of care by providing customers with refunds, alternative flights, as well as refreshments. Meanwhile, British insurers have confirmed that they'll pay out too.
We've spoken to the Transport Secretary this morning and we've reassured him that, again, the industry is considering handling and paying out on claims already, and they're helping their customers through the disruption and distress that many have suffered at Gatwick.
Rural farmers in 6 provinces around Papua New Guinea will be part of a 5-year project that will strategize in making fresh produce markets more accessible. The Fresh Produce Development Agency will be implementing this initiative.
Having access to a wider marketplace and expert advice in selling fresh produce to local and international buyers has been a challenge for local smallholder farmers in Papua New Guinea.
They don't make much money. They get very minimal margin because of the long distance and cost of taking the produce from one end of the country to the main markets.
Papua New Guinea's rugged terrain and the remoteness in some provinces is a disadvantage for farmers wanting to move their produce to the local market. The main issue is road access and transportation of the fresh produce, which results in the quality of the produce dropping and not being viable for the international market.
The farmers have always been struggling to secure a market because the farmers are smallholders. They don't have that capacity to be able to attract market or take the produce to long-distance markets.
But the Markets for Village Farmers project is looking to improve market accessibility. The Fresh Produce Development Agency has secured an 85 million kina loan from the International Fund for Agriculture Development through the Department of Agriculture and Livestock. Western Highlands, Juaka, Chimbu, Eastern Highlands, Morobe and East New Britain provinces will benefit from the 5-year project.
This particular project will look at making market available for all our farmers. So we achieve quality, we achieve consistency in terms of supply to the local markets, and also bring the key market players very close to the farmers.
Not much has been said about the actual steps to be taken in bringing the market closer to farmers, but there is a project steering committee in place, and the 5-year lifeline of the project will be monitored to see how market accessibility is improved. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
With the recent successful harvest of rice from the trial rice project at 14 Mile in Port Moresby, the Philippines government is eager to be a major importer of homegrown PNG rice. Speaking during the official harvest ceremony, Philippines Ambassador to PNG, Bien Tayano, highlighted that through the success of this rice project, PNG now has the potential to produce rice commercially, and that Philippines, whilst providing the technical assistance and manpower to PNG, would also buy rice from PNG. Elizabeth Guka reports.
Following a MOU signed between PNG and the Philippines during APEC in November to allow investors from the Philippines to access PNG soil to mass-produce rice, the harvest at PAU signifies the beginning of a new investment opportunity between the two countries.
To the country of Papua New Guinea and to all the people here, there's nothing more to prove. It's now proven. You have your own food. And if you are so kind-hearted, please do share it to us. Not free, we are willing to buy.
According to Ambassador Tejano, Philippines has the technical expertise in farming rice. However, due to the large population, they still import rice from other countries.
Because right now, even if we are known to be technicians on rice, we buy rice a lot every year from Thailand and Vietnam because we have more than 100 million people to feed, and you have only 8 million.
Rice has become a staple food for Papua New Guineans, as it is for the 9th largest rice producers in the world, the Philippines. And through the agreement of the Trial Rice Project, both countries will benefit from the project.
We grow rice here and meet the Papua New Guinea demand or Papua New Guinea population. We import about 400,000 tons of rice a year. So once we meet the local consumption demand, then any surplus, Philippines is willing to buy back or import from Papua New Guinea. So it's a good arrangement between these two countries.
Minister for Agriculture and Livestock, Benny Allen, has assured that the Trial Rice Project will pave way for investors to come into the country to invest in homegrown PNG rice.
We are beginning to go into commercial rice now, large-scale commercial rice. So we have signed an MOA with the Philippines government during the APEC. You all witnessed that. That paves way for investors from Philippines to come now with technical assistance, and they will come to invest in Papua New Guinea.
Whilst also highlighting the importance of food security, Minister Allen also emphasized on the participation of Papua New Guineans in growing their own rice.
Now, it's important that Papua New Guinea grows its own rice. Food security is very important. That we must also participate in growing rice.
Elizabeth Guka, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News this Saturday. We'll continue with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Health workers in the Kabwum district continue to work under difficult conditions. Apart from the medicine and supply shortages they have been having, the health center operates without electricity, making it more difficult to work at night. They also lack adequate human resource to carry out health services effectively in this area of Papua New Guinea.
Here at the Kabwum Health Center, it is easier for staff to attend to patients during the day. At night, however, they use torches to continue working. This is because the health center does not have electricity.
Last week, I came to no at night. Now this was a plenty time. I no at night. All doctor Blumla saputi more thoughts no head no. Now also being thoughts na gimaras do sick man Mary time I admit na start this lausi.
Asthmatic patients. Also come and them sotwin where you know at power law nebulation of patients blah when me play say game hard time lo me cloud stop lo here some time me plus size struggle you more put pump.
The Kabwum Health Center is located in the Selepet LLG Kabwum district. It serves over 10,000 people and gets referrals from 8 posts in the LLG. The health workers here are faced with multiple problems trying to deliver health care to this rural population. The lack of access to roads makes it difficult for patients to get to the health centers. Because of the lack of staff, up to 26 aid posts had to be closed down.
Admin facility visit. On my way, all stopping me solo road na me try go look at one patient, but me go program chemo said that na me go. The main cause is because no workman like this 8 posts where usad in a blast and long, and so that's why I'm just like come up. So
health workers on the ground say they continue to lose patients because of these problems. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Leh.
The Kabwum Health Center currently operates with only 2 wards, the pediatric ward and the general ward for adults. The health center also treats patients with tuberculosis. However, they do not have a separate ward. Nursing officer Narito Oki said this is a concern for other patients as well.
Plus, keeping all patients going to more sick like TB especially. TB where you come where me plus put him over time 1 + sexual adult fault. Where me badminton innocent lo naraplo sick man to buy stop long and where me open area to mass plan to isolate him all patient because no at especially me isolate him all patients especially all TB patients me plus again more treatment here.
The Chief Corporate Officer of Water PNG says the water problem in Madang is because the water pumps were damaged due to the build-up of thick silt during recent heavy rain. Mr. Imbu Palia said previously they had 3 pumps working. However, the pumps were damaged and they are now using only 1 pump. Palia added that this is the first time such incident has happened in Madang and Water PNG is working to bring normalcy back to customers.
Help us get the normalcy back. We don't know, like I said, we don't know what's happening upstream, but the water is very turbulent. It means muddy and dirty. It's carrying a lot of sand down the river, and that is really wearing our pumps down. 1 pump like this is about 300,000 kina. It's not easy. It's not a shelf thing from PNG we could buy. It has to be imported from overseas, and it takes a long time to buy these days. So it's a difficult situation. We are doing our best. We've got some spares that are coming from Leh. They're on the way today. And at the present time, with this pump working, we can probably provide 20% water in town now. 20%. And with the other one coming, we might probably bring it up to 40%. we would ask the people of Medang to use the water wisely. Do not damage your pipes, do not damage your assets, because if we do that, then we'll lose the water. The little water that we are supplying, we'll lose it. So if we could look after our assets, we'll let the little water come through, and we'll share it with the people of Medang during the break. But by about Monday, Tuesday, we should have about 40–50% water restored. But we are doing our best. Our boys, Water PNC boys, will be working around the clock. There won't be any Christmas for us.
The stage is finally up for MTV's Carols Under the Stars tomorrow. MTV staff have been busy selling tickets for the event, with proceeds to go to a worthy charity. Patricia Keamo reports.
With just 24 hours before the event, MTV's production crew are doing their final preparations and setup for tomorrow's Carols Under the Stars. The stage for tomorrow's program is being set up and decorated. The groups performing tomorrow, as well as the hosts, will be doing a full dress and stage rehearsal this evening.
Rehearsals have been happening for the last few weeks. It's gone really well. So the whole gang are very excited for this Sunday. This evening we'll be having our full rehearsals with the whole entire stage crew, with all the performances as well as all our presenters who will also be featured on the evening as well.
MTV's marketing team have been selling tickets at the MTV office and Vision City. The team will continue selling tickets tomorrow till 6 p.m. All proceeds from the ticket sales will go to businesses for health.
The tickets are going for 15 kina, North and South 10 stand, and 25 kina for the grandstand and 35 kina on the ground.
Tomorrow's carols will feature performances from the local Vabukori choir and the vocal fusion finalist team. The program tomorrow will start at 7 p.m. and end at 9 p.m. and will also be broadcast live on MTV. Patricia Keamo, National MTV News.
And a reminder, tickets for the Carols Under the Stars will still be available until 4 p.m. tomorrow. You can purchase them at Level 2 Garden City or just in front of Brian Bell at Vision City. You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break. When we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to National MTV News. Turning overseas now, the U.S. government is heading to a shutdown after failing to reach a funding agreement. The major stumbling block, President Trump's demand for $7 billion for his border walls.
The president today is demanding $5 billion as the down payment to extend the wall. Ultimately, it will cost many times that amount.
One way or the other, we're going to get a wall, we're going to get a barrier, we're going to get anything you want to name it. You can name it anything you want.
Democrats regard the wall as a waste of resources and gave this withering response to Trump's funding request.
President Trump, you will not get your wall. Abandon your shutdown strategy. You're not getting the wall today, next week, or on January 3rd when Democrats take control of the House.
I did it for 40-some years.
That political brawl comes just a day after Washington and U.S. allies were absorbing the news of the sudden resignation of the U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis.
All I can say is he is the real deal.
Mattis is a four-star Marine Corps general, widely regarded as one of the few stabilizing forces inside the Trump administration. His departure is a particular blow for European allies who trusted him, and the White House has been thrown on the defensive by the fierce reaction.
Sometimes they disagree. The president always listens to the members of his national security team, but at the end of the day, it's the president's decision to make. He was the one that was elected to be president, to be the commander-in-chief.
The president's impulsive announcement of a total withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria and suggestions of a halving of forces in Afghanistan have appalled Mattis, who fears that Kurdish allies are being abandoned on the battlefield. And in Congress, there is a genuine sense of shock and even fear for America's stability.
This great country
can withstand just about anything, but it shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to. Yes, I am shaken by the resignation of General Mattis for what it means to our country, for the message it sends to our troops.
But Trump supporters say he always promised that America would no longer be the world's policeman and that he would bring an end to its military interventions abroad. The Afghan conflict is now entering its 18th year, and the Syrian quagmire has become a mosaic of local wars. But his critics see the president's decisions as driven by a need to divert and distract from a chaotic domestic agenda, one that sees the year ending with Donald Trump in a high-stakes confrontation with Democrats.
The true scale of the damage from a hailstorm in Sydney is just emerging 2 days after it happened. Insurers are expecting the damage bill to reach up to $200 million.
Mother Nature really packs a punch. With a large gash to his head, Marcus O'Donoghue shows off the hailstone responsible.
I felt it hit me, and then I saw it splatter and stuff when I was running back.
The carpenter was walking the 2 minutes between his Barara Heights home to the local tavern when he was hit.
It hurt, but I didn't think that it would have split my head open. There was just blood everywhere.
And so was the hail.
Oh, God, the size of them!
Barara was hardest hit. The hail pounded hundreds of homes, dozens of cars written off.
Frightening. It was so frightening.
The Keast family was too scared to stay, fearing this would continue throughout their home.
We were going to have Christmas lunch here, but that won't be happening now. I don't know what we're going to do, actually.
The entire suburb got to work.
Had cricket ball size hailstones hit the roof.
Luckily we are insured, and but when the clean-up can be done and when the repairs can be done, I have no idea.
A British builder has revealed the moment he realized he was sitting on an unclaimed $128 million lottery ticket. He put the winning ticket in a pile of unchecked tickets in his van. 6 weeks later, he finally gave in to his family's constant reminders to check his numbers.
Today they're multi-millionaires, but for 6 weeks Andrew and Tricia have been doing their jobs as a builder and a kitchen worker, completely unaware that Andrew was driving round with a winning lottery ticket right above his head.
Basically, the ticket was in my van, in the sun visor. So there was about probably 50 tickets altogether.
Tricia had heard on the news that there was an unclaimed lottery prize, and eventually her family persuaded him to check.
Got to that one, because I knew what the date was and that, and yeah, just started checking the numbers off, and they were all there.
He said, I've won the lottery. You know, that 6 weeks, the missing person, I've won it. I says, no, you haven't. You're lying. Because they was laughing in the background, I just thought it was a joke.
At the post office in Boston in Lincolnshire, where Andrew chose his winning numbers, other customers can't quite believe somebody could have a chance of such a big win and not even look.
But you would definitely check it?
I would, yeah.
You wouldn't leave it in your van?
Well, you think what you'd do with that money, and you've not done that for at least 6 weeks. It's just madness.
If you had a winning lottery ticket in your van, would you leave it 6 weeks?
No. I even sort of went under my car to see if I'd got any stray lottery tickets that were the ones, so...
No joy?
No joy.
So here they are with a big cheque.
Can you turn the cheque round, please, so we can see it? That's lovely.
Being bossed around by press photographers, but after today, nobody will be bossing them around ever again. The last building job he had was his niece's extension, and he's not going back.
The extension will get finished.
Yeah.
It just won't be me.
Yeah. And again, please.
As for this Christmas, well, by the time they found out they were loaded, they'd already done their shopping. So if you were down for a pair of socks from Andrew and Tricia this year, that's what you're still getting.
In New Zealand, there is a community that goes out of its way to hold a Christmas parade that's downright inappropriate. No rules, no plan, no hurt feelings allowed.
It's the annual Pleasant Point Christmas Parade.
I'm a sexy Santa.
It's anything but pleasant.
It is politically incorrect, so if you think you're going to be offended by the content, perhaps you shouldn't come in the first place.
You've been warned.
If they can find something to take the mickey out of, they'll do it.
In fact, it promises to offend.
Yeah, we do what we like here.
It's a chance for locals to take a look back at the year's most topical issues. No float is deemed too controversial.
Harvey Ramstein.
The whole town turns out for the event.
We're all very official. This is the Pleasant Point Parade.
Yeah. We needed waterproof paint, obviously. There we go, that's life.
Not even the weather managed to keep this lot from voicing their opinions.
Subtlety. What's the message? Yeah. Bloody rain, weather, niwa. No idea what's ahead.
It's a really long story. You're going to have to read this. My reindeer identifies as a narwhal. It's like an Arctic seal with a unicorn head.
And the more inappropriate it gets.
You love that?
The more they laugh.
I reckon they give that Santa back to Nelson.
After all, it is the season to be silly.
You're watching the news this Saturday. We go for a break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Securing contracts overseas for PNG Rugby League players is a growing trend ever since the start of the Hunters program. But players securing contracts overseas need player managers to facilitate the finer details of their contracts.
They're in the Hunters with the highlights.
Yes, SPPNG Hunters players have player managers that help secure international contracts, especially with the success of the Hunters program so far. When rugby league players from the SPPNG Hunters get contracts overseas, it is an achievement for the players and an even bigger milestone for the PNG RFL and the Hunters program. The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League have been introducing players to certain player managers, but it is up to the players to choose which manager to work with.
For the welfare of Hunters boys, we've actually identified a couple of player managers that can work with them. It's up to them to choose which player manager they work with.
It is the player managers who discuss with the players and then contact PNG RFL to discuss the details of the deal.
Once they get their player manager, the player manager gets in, communicates with the respective clubs to finalize the details of the contract. Once that's finalized, the player managers and the players notify the PNG RFL.
PNG RFL Chairman Sandy Saka said the PNG RFL work with the players and their managers to make sure there is a smooth transition from PNG to an overseas league.
Because we have to do the due diligence for their release, so an international transfer. So once they notify us, our people at the office do the due diligence, ensure that the contracts are in place, ensure that their welfare is being taken care of, and ensure that there are no issues that will affect visa and stuff like that. We sign off their release forms and they're released to go and play overseas.
The overseas teams have their own ways of contacting players. Sometimes they contact the PNG RFL to secure certain players which they want in their team.
Sometimes the clubs may call up the coach direct, sometimes the clubs may come through the PNG RFL, other times they go through the players. But in any case, when those happens, we refer them to their managers. So the contact points that the clubs deal with are their respective managers.
So far, 8 players from the 2018 season have secured contracts overseas. Ase Boas, Watson Boas and Thompson Tete will be leaving for the Featherstone Rovers in England. Willie Minoga and Warthowapora Jr. will be going to the Barrow Raiders as well in England. Redley Brower and Eden Egebi will be joining the Queensland-based club Wynnum Manly Seagulls in the Queensland Intra Super Cup. Nixon Put will also be joining a Queensland-based team, North Devils, who also participate in the Queensland Intra Super Cup. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Professional boxing coach and referee Brad Vocal says professional fighters in PNG need the support of government in order to succeed. He said while negotiations are still underway to get them involved in supporting professional boxing, the code has always created an opportunity for those who work hard to win.
We haven't entered into negotiations with the government, but we do have a pathway to talk with the government, right? And I'm very confident that the government would support. If we could bring a big fight here to PNG, I'm really confident the government would support us in that fight. I'm very, very confident that they would put money in. Most of the boxers, you named them, Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, all of these guys, you know, Cassius Clay, they come from poor, impoverished background. They have no money. We have to be able to sort of talk to someone and say, hey, listen, let's bring a quality fighter over to PNG and put a big boxing contest on here. We've got nothing. We might as well fight for it. So whatever we have, we fight for. And that's what it's all about. So for the PNG fighters, they have nothing. They have little equipment. They have little gear, anything, boxing gloves, anything that they don't have.
Don't go anywhere. We'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sport. Back to Rugby League. The Coca-Cola Epitas Cup saw 8 teams enter the preliminary rounds yesterday, with the top 4 teams making it through to the next round. Godwin Eki with this report.
The first game in the preliminary round in the Coca-Cola Epitas Cup Challenge saw Paga Panthers take on Erima Wanderers. Being the dominant side, Paga Panthers, who showed great attack and defense, were first to score a try, with conversion successful. Paga Panthers, maintaining strong defense, ended the first half with a 10-point lead. In the second half, Erima Wanderers regrouped before coming back in strong to eventually score their first try, with conversion successful. Full-time score, Paga Panthers 10, Erima Wanderers 6. The next game between the Bears and the D8 Mosquitoes had the crowd vocal from the first whistle. Within the first 5 minutes, D8 Mosquitoes responded quickly to get hold of the ball before Bears awarded a penalty to give the D8 Mosquitoes a 2-point lead. With score at 2-0 in the second half, D8 Mosquitoes, despite proving to be the dominant side, on the other hand, Bears, who quickly made a few interchanges to beef up their defense, went down attacking the Mozzies to score their first try. D8 Mosquitoes mobilized well, attacking the Bears that saw some great action of rugby league from the Mosquitoes that witnessed the try of the tournament, one that was described by the officials as an acrobatic try. Godwin Eki, National EMTV.
To sport abroad, and in kickboxing, it's celebration mode in New Zealand. The results of City Kickboxing's fighters have made it the second most successful UFC gym worldwide. And there could be even more honors on the way for the outfit that has produced superstars like Israel Adesanya.
Hidden behind a single garage door on an inner city side street, City Kickboxing with a chance to take the gloves off after hitting top of the UFC world. Thanks largely to the success of Israel Adesanya, who you could say is now the big dog.
Most winning gym this year, second most winning gym. And for a gym with only 4 UFC fighters, I mean, if you look at the numbers don't lie.
They certainly don't, with Adesanya now in world title contention after just 4 fights, and Kai Kara France also hitting the big time with a dream debut.
We want to make sure when we got signed to the UFC, we're going to stay here for a long time. We don't want to be in and out and, you know, no one remembers your name.
It's hard enough getting recognition here, so a Halberg nomination for their coach Eugene Behrman came as a real surprise.
I tell you what, I was happy to see that a combat sport, or someone that comes from a combat sport, was in amongst all those big major mainstream sports. That was pretty cool to see.
He opened the gym as co-owner 11 years ago, but faced financial ruin for the first 5. 2 months away is a major payday, with Adesanya taking on all-time great Anderson Silva.
Israel has to take this fight very seriously, and he is taking it very seriously.
And you've been open and honest about him being an idol, but I know that come fight week, you won't be like that.
Yeah. No, honestly, like, the best way I can show him respect is to him up. It's to kick him in the face. It's to let him know who I am.
The only one missing from today's end-of-year breakup was Dan Hooker, still recovering from a tough night in Milwaukee last weekend.
Nothing that Dan hasn't experienced before, so I expect a new, fresh and revitalised Dan Hooker 2019, 100%.
Just like his gym picked itself up off the canvas and is now definitely enjoying its time in the sun.
To cricket, and one of New Zealand's greatest batsmen has come up against one formidable bowler in the Australian Big Bash League. The former Black Cap teammates went head-to-head as coaches last night, but it was two teenagers who stole the show.
Two Canterbury cricket legends facing off, Melbourne Stars coach Stephen Fleming and Shane Bond for the Sydney Thunder.
It's his first crack with the Thunder, is with the Heat last year. Kiwis everywhere, aren't they?
But it was an 18-year-old Nepalese spinner making his presence felt on debut.
Oh, catch, it's the call, mid-on, settles underneath it and takes it.
Just his second ball in the Big Bash.
Shortly after...
Oh, chipped and gone!
What a start from young Lamachani.
That brought another teen into the fold. Jason Sanger lighting up Manuka Oval with some breathtaking stroke play.
But there's been an association with this young man as the next Ricky Ponting. Doesn't get any bigger than that. But
Sanger winning this battle of the teens, becoming the youngest player to rack up a Big Bash League half-century.
Yes! Oh, he's got that backward shot. And get the benefit of the boundary as well. Sanger goes to 50 on debut.
Then scampering back to finish on 65 not out from 36 deliveries.
Oh, he came out in our practice game, played exactly the same way, probably thumped it even harder. So, no, he's a great young talent, but to come out in his first game and play like that was outstanding performance.
Rain meant revised playing conditions of 90 required off 8 overs. And after partnering so well with Sanger, Daniel Sams then unleashed with the ball.
A wicket with his first ball.
Sanger was proving just as useful in the field.
Beautifully taken. Jason Sanger, what a night he's having.
The Stars, on the other hand, couldn't get off the ground in their 8 overs, only managing 74 for 6.
Stephen Fleming, probably not quite as comfortable as his New Zealand countryman Shane Bond.
Bond's Thunder winning by 15 runs, as 19-year-old Jason Sanger showed why he's one of the most hyped young batsmen around.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for another break. When we come back, we take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, cloudy with some showers expected for Port Moresby and Popondetta. Finally becoming cloudy for Kerma and Alotau. A few showers expected in Daru. To the Momasa region, cloudy with some showers expected across the region in Lae, Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. Some showers as well in Wau. To the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy and thunderstorms expected in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe, and cloudy weather with some showers as well in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabrik can expect some rain with early morning fog developing. Some showers as well with early morning fog developing for Goroka and Kundiawa. To look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point to Samarai Island, and waters of Finchafen through Vitias and Dadbe Strait to Siasi Island to Madang and to Bogia, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of New Island to New East and West New Britain to Bougainville, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Island, sea 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, sea 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of Bogia to Wewak Aitape Vanimo and the PNG Indonesian border, sea 0.5 to 1.35 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, sea slight with westerly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Sea, sea slight with north-northwesterly tending northeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, sea slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, sea slight with northwesterly tending clockwise winds from 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Saturday, the 22nd of December 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.